Enough people have asked, so I'm going to chime in on the Amos Miller situation. If you're unfamiliar with it, take a look at this.
This could define the future of food freedom in the USA. On January 4th, 2024, Amish farmer Amos Miller was raided by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. During the raid, Miller's organic food inventory, including raw dairy, pasture-raised meat, granola, maple syrup, and more, was put under detention, restricting Miller and his 4,000 private members from accessing it. On January 19th, the state of Pennsylvania restricted Miller's entire dairy operation. And on January 24th, the state of Pennsylvania sued Miller Organic Farm under the claims that Miller's organic grass-fed foods are causing illness and potential harm. However, Miller has provided organic food for more than 15 years and has had 0 food safety complaints filed with the state. If the state of Pennsylvania is successful against Amos Miller, it will set legal precedents against thousands of other small farmers across the USA.
The small farm food freedom cohort is losing their minds over this because they're calling it a case of egregious government overreach and tyranny and depriving people of their freedom to bodily autonomy, all that good stuff. And they're hinging it on this idea that Amos Miller ain't never hurt nobody. There's been no complaints. He's been doing this for 15 years. Ain't nobody getting hurt. What's the problem? The problem is that's not true. The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture did not just pop up out of nowhere like a friggin' regulatory jack-in-the-box looking to ruin this guy's day for no reason at all. Amos Miller's dance with regulators began way back in 2015 when raw milk from his farm that he had shipped clear across the country killed somebody. And you'd think the Fed would have messed him up, like shut down his stuff, burned up all his meat, forced him out of business. But instead, they went to court. There was a consent decree where basically the court said, all right, you've been slaughtering meat and poultry and providing raw milk and eggs and all this stuff without inspection and shipping it clear across the country, which is illegal. There's about 34,000 pounds of this stuff that you've done illegally, but we're going to let you sell it to your existing private buyers club. Like, go ahead and sell it, like get the money, but you gotta stop. He didn't stop. Miller had 60 days to dispose of all that stuff, get it sold. When regulators came back a couple of months later to make sure he was, complying with the consent decree, they found out that not only had he not disposed of or sold that stuff as he was supposed to, but he had also continued slaughtering stuff without inspection and was continuing to sell it across the friggin' country. So he gets slapped with a huge fine. I think it was like $250,000. And the rest of the stuff he has is now put under condemnation, but it needs to have a condemnation hearing. But in the meanwhile, he's not allowed to sell the stuff. While that's going on, he continues slaughtering animals without inspection and selling it all over the country. This guy just doesn't give a shit. Eventually Pennsylvania regulators were finally like, all right, enough. And they raided him because he's been giving a middle finger to regulators for like damn near a decade. And this is after, remember, he killed somebody and the Fed was still like, all right, you can sell what you got, but you gotta stop. So when you see the small farm people losing their over this, they never admit the part where, number one, he killed somebody. Number two, the Fed bent over backwards for this guy to himself, gave him the opportunity to sell the stuff that he had illegally produced. And dude was just like, nah. So to me, this is not a case of a guy who's just minding his own business, not hurting anybody, and the feds just decided to like jackboot him to death. This is a dude that just decides the law doesn't apply to him. Regulations don't apply to him. I killed somebody. So what? My freedom. And I can't believe that I'm in the awkward position of actually defending regulators. But like as a guy that's seen that process happen, I can't explain to you how much people that work for like VDACs, like state departments of agriculture, even FSIS and the Fed, like these people usually come from farm country. Like they're not signing up for these jobs to come pound farmers into the dirt. Like when you violate some kind of like regulation or whatever, usually what happens is the inspector shows up or the enforcement officer shows up and they go, all right, this is out of compliance. This is what you got to do to get in compliance. Here's a website you can go to, a phone number you can call if you have any questions about how to get into compliance. Do me a favor and sign this thing that says you acknowledge that you are out of compliance and that you're going to fix it. And just please don't let us hear about this particular violation again, okay? Pretty please, bro, thank you. Like, that's how they are. They they go around their assholes to get to their elbows to keep from like messing you up. When you get to the point like Miller did, where the cops are showing up, the freaking U.S. Marshals are showing up, you done up, and like you done up after being given multiple opportunities to yourself. And the reason I don't have a whole hell of a lot of sympathy for this guy is because he's going to make it harder for people like me. See, like there's this segment of the farm to table movement that feels like they should personally know every single one of their customers, and they have like this buyer beware attitude toward food safety. You know, they don't really care about feeding everybody. So, you know, they just figure I can keep my eyes on everything and everything will be fine. I can do this without inspection. But people like me who want to feed thousands and thousands of people, like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, you know, I could never, I would not trust myself to be able to inspect my product to the degree that is necessary to keep the public safe, which is why we are directly pursuing federal inspection when we scale. This guy is going to make my life more difficult, because what this guy is doing is how you wind up with zero tolerance policies. How, you know, even if you make a mistake in good faith that doesn't hurt anybody, like, you know, this is the kind of thing that'll make the feds or state regulators be like, you know, we in the past we would have worked with you, but this guy over here, like, people just like to push, and so we got to like clamp down on it. And then all of a sudden life gets a lot harder for everyone. So no, I don't like this guy. I think he's hurting small farmers. I think he's hurting big farmers. And remember, he killed someone. And I want to say that it blows my mind that this dude could, you know, violate the law, violate the regs, get somebody killed, and then, you know, initially not even pay any consequences. Like, it wasn't even a slap on the wrist. It wasn't even like a stern talking to. He decides, screw that, keeps doing it anyway, and people are shocked that there's any consequences. I'd like to say that surprises me, but that's the attitude small farmers have, and it's up. So anyway, that's my opinion on the Amos Miller situation. I don't think he's a victim. I think he's a pompous, entitled butthole who thinks he should just do whatever he wants to do, no matter who he hurts.